Zack O'Malley Greenburg from Forbes magazine is our guest. He's a professional writer. He writes for many other blogs and books and magazines and all of that. Huffington Post?
Yeah, I've written for them. Huffington Post, Washington Post, any kind of post.
And interviewed music moguls, music makers, presidents?
Not yet. I'm working on that still.
One day.
Yeah.
But didn't you interview Justin Bieber?
Well, it was kind of an accidental interview. I ran into him at the bathroom in the Grammys.
Perfect. So, do you have a minute?
Yeah, yeah.
Was he forthcoming?
I was able to ask him about his business plans for the future, and he said, "I have a business manager."
Okay. And speaking of business, back to Empire State of Mind, how Jay-Z went from street corner to corner office. How did he?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, but the most important is that he has this this innate business sense that he sort of honed on the streets over the years, and I think for him it was a process of realizing where the money would be in each successive step of his life. First he really wanted to start out as a rapper in his teenage years, but he couldn't find a way to make money doing it, so he went into the drug game. Then when he found out that he could make money as a rapper, he kind of followed that. And once he established himself as a rapper, he was able to expand into all sorts of different things: clothing and alcohol and automobiles and restaurants and sports teams and you name it. You name it,
he's in it. Yep. Wasn't he the head of Def Jam?
Yep, he was president, CEO of Def Jam. Yep.
CEO of Def Jam. He has a restaurant called 4040.
That's right, nightclub restaurant. Yep.
Tennis shoe or two.
S. Carter Reeboks, yep.
This whole it's not rockabilly, but...
Rockaware, yeah.
Rockaware,
yeah.
That's all him.
That's, well, he actually sold the rights to that for $204 million a couple years ago, so he's still...
I'm here dropping the bucket, Zach. But he said before, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman.
I would say he's both. He's a businessman and he's a business. I mean, if you look at sort of, it's a lifestyle brand. It's like Martha Stewart or Oprah or any of these kind of lifestyle brands. I mean, you can wake up in the morning and you can put on your Rockaware jeans and your S. Carter sneakers, and then you can go to the 4040 club and have a drink or have lunch or whatever it is, and then you can go on and watch a New Jersey Nets game. And
he owns the Nets.
He owns a stake in the Nets.
A stake in the Nets. Yeah. That's right. And I think he has some cologne you can dab on, or he did.
Yep. He's got that too.
From the streets of Brooklyn. Why it's such an incredible story, and I'm sure it is what piqued Warren Buffett's interest, is how he got from the projects to where he is today.
Yeah, it's really a fantastic story, and I mean, when you look at it, I think the really interesting thing that he's done, sort of having achieved a certain amount of success in the late '90s as a rapper, he was really able to parlay that into all these different products, and what he did was, it all started, I think, when in the late '90s he was rapping about a brand called Iceberg, a clothing brand, and sales started to skyrocket because he was a very popular rapper already at the time, and people said, "Oh, if he's rapping about this, I want to wear it." And so he and his business partner Damon Dash went to the head of Iceberg, and they said, "Gee, could we have an equity stake or an endorsement or a deal or something like that? Because we're really helping you out sales-wise." And they said, no, we don't want to deal with hip-hop, whatever. So they dismissed them. So Jay-Z stopped rapping about Iceberg. He started Rockaware, and instead of rapping about that clothing, he rapped about his clothing, and free advertising. Sure. And everything else he does, it's always something that he can rap about, that he can kind of credibly insert into his song, in the place of somebody else's product.
Did he say in one of his raps, if that's what you call it, put me anywhere in God's green earth, I triple my worth?
Exactly. Yep.
However, I love the story about Chrysler, when they said to him, they were trying to put him together with a car. His agent wanted Jay-Z to endorse a car, and Chrysler says, "We don't want that puffy guy."
Yeah. They didn't want Puffy because he had been, he had been associated with a shooting. He was, I think, eventually cleared of all charges. But but Jay-Z, they were okay. Well, let's give this a shot. And then there was a change of management, and then the new management, they decided they didn't want Jay-Z either. Right. But so that's something that hasn't been reported before at all. There was supposed to be a Jay-Z Jeep, and he was going to get something like 5 or 10% royalty on each car sold, and it was going to be a Jeep Commander, so it would sell for $50,000, and
And would it be a special color?
Yes, it would have been Jay-Z Blue.
What's that about, Jay-Z Blue?
It's actually a patented. It's a US. If you look in the U.S. trademark database, you can find it, but. During I think it was the early 2000s, Jay-Z and his sort of marketing guru, a guy by the name of Steve Stout, came up with the idea, that they would create a color of blue and they would sprinkle it with platinum dust because, Jay-Z's goes platinum all the time.
Yes.
And this would be Jay-Z Blue, and they could put it on cars and whatever and license it and make a killing. And I don't think it really took off the way they had hoped for. I think that the Jay-Z Jeep would have been a big part of that if it hadn't fallen through.
Sure. Jay-Z is not only a brand, the couple, Beyonce Knowles and Jay-Z, are a brand. Hot couple. How did they meet? She's a good little Methodist girl.
Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of an odd couple on the surface, but they knew each other from the celebrity circuit, and they started getting together, I think, 2002, 2003, and this was sort of right as Jay-Z was kind of trying to rebrand himself as this businessman. He's about to, a couple years later, become CEO of Def Jam. And they got together, and for years there were all these rumors about whether they would get married or not, and a couple years ago they did get married. But I think that now that they're together, one of the interesting things is the synergies between the two brands. I mean, they had very different audiences that they kind of brought together. He gave her a little bit more of a street edge. She gave him a little more pop credibility, and with advertisers.
Sure.
And on the advertising front, they both do a lot of endorsements, and they never endorse anything together. And I think it's pretty deliberate, because what a lot of the people who I interviewed in the advertising industry told me was, if one of them endorses something, even though the other one isn't there, there's kind of an implied second endorsement from the other one. So if Beyonce is drinking a can of Pepsi, even if Jay-Z's not there, you assume she's going to go home and drink another one with him.
Sure. Any kids, do you think?
I think so. I think, it's funny. It's almost like he wants kids more than she does, and I think if it were up to him, he would be a father already. But I think she wants to give it a couple more years. That would be my guess. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something within the next 12 to 24 months.
We're hearing a rumor, I'm sure you are too, that Jay-Z and Beyonce will be singing at the royal wedding. Well, maybe not in the Abbey, but at the after party.
I've heard that as well. Boy, what a great journey, from the housing projects of Bedford-Stuyvesant to the royal wedding.
No
but,
kidding.
I think they said that they wouldn't have beer at the reception, but they would only have wine and champagne and Jay-Z. So.
Okay. Well, when little boys dream, or when little girls dream, and you read this, you know that it's almost unbelievable, really, his story.
It's really the true sort of rags to riches American dream, Canadian dream,
So he has a little raw talent when it comes to cadence, and apparently has a lot of talent when it comes to business.
Definitely.
And of course, rapping. Can you rap?
In high school, I was known to do a couple of parody raps for environmental studies projects and such.
And so what next for you? After this, first biography, more writing?
Hopefully another one, yeah. I'm tossing around some ideas with my publisher and my agent, but mostly they're like, let's talk about this later this summer and, just keep promoting this book.
Why not? Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Nice to see you. Hi to Dad.
All right.
Empire State of Mind, how Jay-Z went from street corner to corner office, Zack O'Malley Greenburg.